All right, today we're peeling back the curtain on a document you've almost certainly never heard of. But here's the thing. It secretly decides who wins and who loses when billions of dollars are on the line. It's kind of like the hidden rule book of high finance. So let's get into it.
So, let me ask you this. In some huge billion-dollar deal, who do you think really has the power? Is it the lender who brings the most cash to the table? Or is it the lender who got to write the rules? You'd probably guess it's the money, right? Well, the real answer? It's buried in one very specific, very powerful agreement.
And that's it right there, the Intercreditor Agreement. The best way to think about it? It's literally a prenup for lenders. Before a single dollar gets wired, all the different creditors get together and sign this thing. It spells out, in black and white, exactly who gets paid first, who gets to make the calls, and who has to sit on the sidelines if the whole deal goes south. This thing is the secret rulebook.
Okay, let's dig into this prenup idea a bit more. The whole point is to get all the rules of the relationship sorted out before there's any trouble. Because if you wait until things go wrong, you're looking at these incredibly expensive, super messy legal fights. This is all about creating certainty when things get very, very uncertain.
And believe me, this thing covers everything. It sets up the pecking order for who gets their money back. It ranks who gets first dibs on the company's assets, the collateral. It draws a really clear line between the rights of the senior lenders and the junior ones. And maybe most importantly, it creates a step-by-step playbook for what to do if the borrower can't pay.
So let's crack open that rule book, shall we? We're going to look at the specific clauses, the real fine print that gives certain lenders all the power and all the control.
First up, you've got the absolute cornerstone of the entire agreement. Payment subordination. And honestly, it's as simple and as brutal as it sounds. The senior lenders, the ones at the very top of the food chain, they have to get paid back in full, every single penny, before the junior lenders are allowed to see a dime.
And this next one, wow, this really shows you the power dynamic at play. It's called the standstill provision. Here's how it works. If the borrower defaults, this clause legally forces the junior lenders to do nothing. Literally, they have to stand still. They can't sue, they can't try to grab any assets, they can't do a thing. This gives the senior lenders this clean window of time to manage the crisis and control all the negotiations without anyone else getting in the way.
And this chart just lays it all out, crystal clear. Look at the right to payment. Seniors are first in line. Juniors are dead last, if they even get paid at all. And then enforcement control, the actual power to do something when things go bad. Seniors have full control. Juniors, limited, or more often than not, none. It's a huge difference.
You see, the system is designed to be completely airtight. But you might be wondering, what if a payment somehow accidentally ends up with the junior lender? Well, that's what the turnover clause is for. It legally requires the junior lender to immediately hand that money over to the senior lender. There are just no loopholes. It's a fail-safe.
Now, you might be thinking about other kinds of financial contracts you've heard of, and it's a good point. But it is so important to understand that not all of these agreements are created equal. The Intercreditor Agreement, it's in a league of its own when it comes to power.
So let's compare it to something like a subordination agreement. A subordination agreement, really, it just does one thing. It says senior debt gets paid before junior debt. That's pretty much it. But the Intercreditor Agreement, that's the entire rule book. It covers way more than just the payment order. It's about enforcement, voting rights, the whole relationship between all the lenders.
Okay, enough with the theory. Let's talk about where this prenup really, truly matters. This is how it all plays out in the real world, when a company is right on the edge.
Okay, check out this classic scenario. A leverage acquisition. You've got a private equity firm that borrows a ton of money to buy a company. They get money from senior banks, and they also get some riskier junior financing, what they call mezzanine debt, from a specialized fund. Then disaster strikes. The company they bought starts failing and defaults on its loans. What happens? Instantly, that intercreditor agreement kicks in. The senior banks seize the controls, they run the whole restructuring process. And that mezzanine fund, they have no choice but to stand still and just wait.
And this is exactly why this document is so critical during a bankruptcy. It tells the court precisely who has the right to the company's assets. It basically becomes the map for how to distribute whatever money is left. By doing all this, it prevents this total chaotic free-for-all, with lenders suing each other. It centralizes all the power and puts one party, the senior lender, in the driver's seat for negotiations.
So why are we talking about all this now, in 2026? Because understanding this document and the power it holds is more important in today's financial world than it has ever been. The real power is all hidden away in that fine print.
Just look at the lending market today. It's getting way more complicated. We're seeing this huge explosion of private credit funds and other non-bank lenders getting into these big deals. And when you have that many different players at the table, all with their own agendas, that intercreditor agreement becomes the essential glue that holds the entire thing together. Without it, it would be chaos.
Which brings us right back to the key takeaway from the material we're looking at. And I'm going to read this quote because it just sums it all up perfectly. The true measure of control often lies not just in the capital provided, but in the detailed, often overlooked clauses of the intercreditor agreement.
So here's the bottom line. It's not always about who brings the most cash to the deal. The person who controls the pen, the one who gets to draft and negotiate the terms of this specific document, is often the one who holds the real, ultimate power over the entire deal.
And I'll just leave you with this final thought. When the next big financial crisis hits, the question everyone's going to be asking won't just be who lost money. For the people who really understand how this works, the real question, the only question, will be who controlled the intercreditor agreement.